Racism. A lot of y'all are probably racist. The quickest way to find out if you're racist is to ask yourself, how would you feel if a black or Puerto Rican or Hispanic man went out with your sister? Would that bother you? If it does, then you're racist. Kids don't know what color you are, but they learn. Sooner or later, somebody clues them in. When I lived in Summit, New Jersey, I had a buddy named Mark. I didn't know he was white. I just knew he was my buddy. I used to play over his house, and at night, Mark's mother would let all the other kids continue to play, but I was always sent home. So I asked my mother, how come Mark's mother makes me go home every night? She said, that's because you're colored. You have to go home because you're colored. I'm not going to teach you about it now, but you'll learn about it. You'll learn. In second grade, I became friends with this other white kid named Todd. Everybody played at Todd's house after school because he had all the cool toys. My buddy from my neighborhood, Kenneth, wanted to come play with us. Kenneth was a dark-skinned black kid, and Todd told him, no, I can't have any more kids over my house. And I told Kenneth, cool, all right, Ken. I'm going to go to Todd's house. And Ken said, it's cool. I'll see you tomorrow. So when we walked on our way over to his house, about 5 more kids rolled up, and Todd said, come on over to my house. So I asked him, I thought you couldn't have any more friends. And he said, oh, Kenneth, he's a darky. Right then I realized Todd thought I was white. That was my introduction to racism. My mother was really light-skinned, lighter than me. Her side of the family was Creole, a mix of French and black. My father was dark. What or who I was, I really didn't know. My mom died when I was in the 3rd grade, and my dad passed when I was in the 7th grade. I was kind of left alone to figure everything out. I'd grow up in a black neighborhood, so I didn't think much about it. In the military, I was called nigga this, nigga that, and I just learned to tolerate it. As you get older, racism doesn't go away. It just builds and builds. I might have more money in the bank than any middle-aged white lady will ever see in her life, but if I'm strolling through the mall in Chicago, she'll clutch her purse nervously as she sees me coming. People will eye me suspiciously in the stores. I see them sweat next to me on the elevators. You just get used to it. It ain't no big thing. Black people are just used to that shit. Other people will wonder how I can take it, but I figure I've got 2 options. I could just be pissed off at the world 24 hours a day, every day, or I can just go about my business and look at them like they're dumb. And I picked the second option because that's just how this country is, and these people are programmed. Somewhere along the line, you just learn to tolerate it. Some people don't tolerate it. They learn to hate. I just never could get into hate. My manager's name is George Hinojosa. His father is Bolivian and his mother's white. When I met him, he was having his problems. Nobody was getting his name right. He was tired of fighting it. He was ready to change his name to something else, and I told him, dude, you can't give it up, man. That's your name. That's who you are. Fuck these motherfuckers if they don't like it. Let them learn how to spell and pronounce it. If they don't dig you having that name and you want to change it so you fit in with their fucked up rules, it's going to be the biggest sale you ever did. That's your life. He stuck it out. But a lot of people make these concessions just so they can get along in the system, and it's just bullshit. Sometimes I think about changing my last name to X, because the only way you're going to know yourself is to first be in touch with yourself. That holds true to white people, too. I don't need any white people coming up to me and saying, yo, I'm black. Why don't you say, yo, I'm white, and I understand what's going on, and I'd like to be down? That's the most helpful tack you can take. A crip will tell you, no one can stop this war but us. It's the same thing with racism. Blacks don't want to leave the solution up to the white power structure because we know it won't get handled. You can't just say, white people got to do this, white people got to do that, because you be falling back on letting the white man take care of you. So we have to make our own move. A white person who wants to be down can really help us just by not being racist. That's one less person who judges me because of my color. I've taken this task upon myself of telling black people not to hate white people. The media is constantly perpetuating fear. Black crime, black riots, black. So now you're going to tell somebody who's white you shouldn't just hate black people. And they're staring at the tube. Well, look at TV. Look at what they do. Look at what I see. But then I go tell a black guy not to hate whites, and he'll start taking me back to BC. They've been fucking us blind since day one. As a consequence, I've got people on both sides of the fence who don't want to mix. Aryans trying to maintain the power by spouting racist dogma, Muslims telling black men to stop looking outside of their race for happiness. Consider this. If everybody was fucking everybody else, the world would have to change. If we had a monotype race, everyone would have to get along. People have to start looking beyond color, religions, neighborhoods, and realize we're all from Earth. If everybody bred interracially, we wouldn't hate so much. I had my baby boy with my girl who's Hispanic, so Lil Ice is Mexican and black. He had his first birthday party, and all the Mexican aunts and uncles were there, and all my homies were there. Everybody was just kicking it, hanging out together, celebrating my son's big day. Now, how you going to hate in a situation like that? My friends and relatives can't get mad at anybody because that little boy is my son. So that's how you bring people together. Racism is programmed into people. I don't believe it's inherent. You take 3 kids, a black kid, white kid, Asian kid, and put them all in a sandbox and leave them alone, and they'll grow up and learn to love each other like a family until some asshole adult comes around and says, you shouldn't like them. Their skin is lighter or darker. If you didn't know anything about black people, you look at a riot and say, savages, look at them, look at them, look what they're doing to themselves. Now you can look at it and say, this is wrong. Something's got to change. That's what my Home Invasion album is all about. You got kids now saying, wait a minute, moms, this shit is fucked up. Cleopatra wasn't white like Elizabeth Taylor, and we ain't built no pyramids. And there are 36 precious elements in the world, and 28 of them come out of fucking Africa. What's really going on? We're entering a Renaissance period, an educational revolution, where people are questioning the lies. People know shit's got to get right. Our country cannot run off lies much longer. From the attitude of kids now, you can't accuse a lot of black kids of racism. We're dealing with a reaction, not an action. When we start believing that people are born evil, that was the beginning of racism. What you're really saying is there's no hope. Once you can say there's no hope for black people, there's a reason to hate. But as long as you believe people can change, there is hope. I think this country has a chance to grow out of its racist background. White supremacists are struggling to hold on to their power. These aren't just a bunch of guys running around in sheets. Racism runs deep in the hearts of many Americans. That's why a lot of people don't like to see or admit interracial marriages even exist. Any child with pigmentation is considered black. So if your mama's white and your dad's black, racists are terrified we're all going to get together because if we do, we can systematically eliminate the white race. That's what Public Enemy's Fear of a Black Planet is all about. The white race is the only race that requires 2 white people to make a white baby. Now, whoever made up that rule felt they had to be pure, and they had to remain pure. White supremacists fucked themselves on that kind of thinking because around the year 2010, they're going to definitely be headed toward minority status. It's an Aryan nation nightmare, a catch-22. Now, somebody who isn't racist wouldn't give a fuck. In your heart, your baby will just be beautiful, not black or white. But to a racist, that black or semi-black baby may as well be dead. Any black person who is not pitch black has white blood in them. I don't know where mine comes from. I don't care. Aryan people are terrified, though. They know they have to keep perpetuating the fear between the races.